Clay Baxter. Welcome to Real Estate Talk Denver, and we are here with a very special guest, Phoenix Rain with Porchlight Real Estate. Phoenix is an expert in the Denver market. He's been doing real estate for a lot of years, and we're just going to talk a little bit more about Phoenix and what he does that sets him apart. And first of all, where are you from? A Colorado native, or where are you from, Phoenix?
I'm actually from New Orleans, surprise.
Oh, really?
But
Saints,
I've been
Saints fan?
definitely.
Okay.
But I've been out in Colorado since 1990. I came out here with my father and finished up high school.
Okay.
And seeing Denver grow leaps and bounds. Ironically, back in high school, I remember thinking to myself, I see this place growing, I should get my real estate license. And I did not until much later in life.
So when did you get your real estate license?
About 5 years ago, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do before real estate?
I was actually a personal trainer for about 15 years.
No kidding.
Yeah, so help people lose weight, help people do triathlons. So my career has been about helping people find their goals and kind of conquer them.
Okay. Do you still do some of the personal training, or?
Only on, no.
Okay.
I mean,
Are
occasionally
you,
I have like a friend or two that wants, but
Uh-huh.
I don't do it as a business anymore. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a fitness guy yourself?
I'm a fitness guy. Yeah, I work out every morning still.
Oh, okay.
And very active, and still love to do triathlons and shows and other things. So it just
Okay.
depends on the season, I suppose.
Yeah. So why the change to real estate? What is it that attracted you to get into real estate?
Well, it really came down to the fact that I was looking for my first home. And
Okay.
so I was looking and was kind of seeing, this is probably back in 2011, and just kind of seeing the market and seeing what was going on. And that was I think when Denver really started kind of coming back from the 2008 tragedy. So I just kind of really interested in it, and I had clients that were real estate agents, and started talking to them about it, and next thing I knew I was getting my license, and here I am.
Yeah. So what is it you like most about real estate and helping buyers and sellers?
Well, it's the exact same thing that I used to do in a lot of aspects, minus the physical labor. My clients don't complain anymore about like, oh, I gotta lift that. But a lot of it's about finding people's goals and figuring out what their lifestyle is and what's important to them and where they envision their future going. And so, that's probably the number one, because when you see somebody's life go in that direction of like, well, I didn't expect I could buy a home, or, we're moving, our family's growing, we need a new, bigger home. You see those things take place because it's not transactional, it's very personal when you're dealing with people and finding a home and helping them grow their life, basically.
Yeah. What is it that sets you apart that would cause buyers or sellers to want to hire you to be their real estate agent?
Sure, so it kind of depends on what side of the transaction I'm on, but always number one is, I do a lot of research. I like to call myself a neighborhood nerd. So I'm always looking at different homes in the neighborhoods, and if something's coming on the market, I want to reach out to my client right away and let them know this is a very extreme seller's market right now that we're in. We've been in the last 5 years, give or take, in Denver Metro. So right now, it's more important than ever to be on the ball, and really you're working many hours, so you need to be, knowing what's going on. Where are my clients looking? What are they looking for? Where is that market at right now? How many homes are coming on the market in that neighborhood? And not just waiting for the MLS to pop up and say, oh, here's the next home, but actually, actively searching for those homes for your clients.
So being proactive to try to find those opportunities.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay.
Other things that are probably important if it's a seller, they want to know what the value of their house is. So again, knowing that neighborhood, seeing those competition homes, what's going to be similar to their home and what buyers are going to be looking at, probably in a good 5-mile radius. That's a big radius when you're looking at a lot of homes, not just in that particular neighborhood. So,
Sure.
So it's always important just to know, what's the value of that home and that region as well as that neighborhood.
Uh-huh. So what do you mean by a seller's market? What is a seller's market?
So a seller's market happens when there's actually more demand for homes than there either are supply and demand issue, or could be a speculation where buyers are coming in thinking that the value of the homes are going to be going up, and so it puts more demand on the market again. Right now, what we've been seeing in Denver for the last 5 years is really a short supply of demand. Sorry, I said that backwards.
Of supply.
Supply.
Yeah, right.
A very short supply of supply. So that's really putting a lot of strain. We've got a high demand. We've got a lot of people moving here, about 80,000-ish people moving here per year.
No kidding, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And so you're seeing that demand for people wanting to buy a home. You're seeing not a lot of people wanting to either move out of the home or not finding the right home to move out. So again, it's shortening that buyer's pool. So all in reality, on a given month, we probably see about 5,000 homes across the metro go on the market. We really need about 35,000 homes go on the market.
Wow.
For a more balanced market at least. Maybe a little less, depending on what the season is too.
So that's a huge deficit.
That's a big deficit, yeah.
So what do you do then to help people find the right house if they're looking to buy a house and there's so few to look at?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different strategies. First of all, again, really just pinpointing laser focus on what your clients are really looking for. I'm sure they don't want me to waste their time by taking them to 12 homes that they don't care about. I just got to go, here's the 3 homes that we have this week. We're going to look at these 3 homes. If there's a 4th one, maybe I'll take them to that one. If I can network with other agents to figure out what's coming on the market, maybe they have some up and coming listings. And sometimes you just have to do something old school and knock on doors in the neighborhood and say, hey, I've got somebody who wants to buy in this neighborhood.
I've heard of people doing that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it works.
sure.
It does work sometimes.
Yeah. So some people that we're talking to are getting discouraged, and they have said, well, we're just going to rent for a year and just kind of see what happens with the market. What would you say to that? Does it make sense to just wait and rent because it's so the market's so crazy, or do you think there's hope for buyers that want to go out right now and buy a house?
I think there's hope for buyers. You have to be patient. There are ebbs and flows in the season to buy. So for example,
Okay.
we're now coming into the back half of the summer. Kids are going back to school. And at this point, I do see a little less demand from buyers, either because they've gotten homes or they've given up, or they have the kids back in school and they don't want to move the kids at this point. So I do see a little less demand at this time. I still see some inventory left over from the summer. And so right now, actually, if you are a buyer, it's probably the best time to buy, because now we're starting to see some price adjustments where homes are sitting on the market where they thought they were either a little bit overpriced and they're staying on the market a little longer, or they were expecting to sell over the weekend and they're still sitting on the market. So usually there needs to be some kind of adjustment, and you're not worried about putting in an offer with a bidding war of multiple people.
Okay.
Like you see in the winter maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So where do you see the market going? Do you see this trend continuing where home values are going up and there's so few listings?
You know, I'd like to be positive about it. I'd say really honestly, I'm not seeing anything that's going to dictate any changes right now in the Denver metro. It's a very diverse economy, so we've got a lot of different businesses coming in here. Our governor is still pushing a lot of businesses to come to Denver. So we still have a lot of businesses and tech companies, financial companies, oil and gas is always strong here. So there's a lot of companies that are moving here with a diverse range of stuff. So even if, like, let's say oil and gas moves up and down sometimes, it can be kind of a boom and bust in some cities. Denver doesn't have that anymore because we're so diverse in our economy now. So with that, there's still lots of people that are coming that's still putting the demand on there. Hopefully builders can catch up, but they're even having a hard time catching up with the demand as well. But you know, we've got some easing of some laws for building condos and more townhomes across the metro, so that could help a little bit as well. But a lot of times you just have to be patient and know that the right house is going to come as long as you stay with it.
Okay, so we're going into winter here. How does that typically change the market in the Denver area for either buyers or sellers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with the market in the winter, usually we kind of see where we're at right now. We're a little bit more inventory stays on the market a little bit longer, all the way through the holidays. Once the holidays start, everybody gets a little distracted and they start doing all the holiday stuff. And then in January, end of January, maybe February, we start seeing buyers come back out. Now, I think this year in 2018 was the first year we really saw a lot more sellers kind of cluing into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we also saw buyers actually figuring that out as well, because we've been preaching it for the last 4 or 5 years, coming out a little bit earlier. Plus, unfortunately, our Broncos didn't have a great season, and the weather was unseasonably warm. So a lot more people were out a little bit earlier in January, when we usually start seeing that pick up in February and March. So
Okay.
I would say usually about that time in the late winter, we're going to see, again, lower demand, lower supply and higher demand on the market. And so there'll be less homes. That's when you start seeing that increase in value of homes, because that demand is so strong at that point in the season. And then it kind of tapers off in the summer again.
Okay, it's interesting you say that, because we were the busiest we've been all year in January and February this year.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange that way, because usually most years we don't see it that way. It's more,
Yeah.
tends to be spring, summer, fall.
It started early this year, and that's why. And everybody
Yeah.
was like, whoa, hey,
Yeah, like,
we
what's
weren't
happening?
expecting this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
It was definitely one of my best Januaries too, and December for that matter. Even started for me a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, yeah. So what are some of the neighborhoods that you're seeing that are popular places right now that seem to be really hot markets?
Yeah, so I mean, there's the big traditional neighborhoods that everybody loves in Denver, but really, I'm seeing a lot of those peripheral neighborhoods really take off. So let's take like the Denver Highlands, which is always very popular. It's been popular for a very long time. But outside of those neighborhoods where people want to get into that neighborhood, but maybe are just outside of that actual neighborhood boundary. So like Sunnyside and Berkeley, out to Chaffee Park and Regis, and then maybe over to the Edgewater and Sloan's, and some of those neighborhoods are really starting to grow because of that want to be on that west side of Denver.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aurora is always great. We're going to start growing east of Aurora, even beyond that now. So everything's kind of pushing out beyond the boundaries.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that down south as well. I'm going to suspect that they'll probably in 4 or 5 years, everything from Castle Rock to Parker will probably be filled in too at some point.
Oh, I'm sure.
So.
Yeah, and like some of these neighborhoods like Sterling Ranch, have you heard of Sterling Ranch?
Yeah, Sterling Ranch is another great example. Great homes out there,
Yeah.
beautiful mountain views at that as well. But the interesting thing is that it just, again, they can barely keep up with demand. So everybody wants to be in
Well, that's the
brand new home
thing,
too.
and the thing is, Sterling Ranch, I've talked to a few people in there that are builder reps,
Mhm.
and they're talking 12,000 homes just in that area.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing.
if you think about the number of people that is, and that's a whole other area that's not developed, so I just wonder about
Yeah.
transportation, infrastructure, all that stuff.
Yep.
It'll be interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard to say where the future of Denver Metro is going to go, but I definitely suspect it's going to be a lot bigger in the next 10 years than what we see today.
Yeah. Well, we won't tell anybody. Hopefully they'll stop coming.
That's right.
My wife has a shirt that says, Colorado sucks, tell your friends. I'm like, that's perfect. Keep them away. But yeah, 80,000 a year is a lot. Is that, so when you say 80,000 a year, is that Denver Metro or Front Range?
I think it's about Front Range, really.
Front Range,
Yeah.
okay.
And from what I've read, about 50,000 of those people are looking for new homes.
Okay.
30,000 probably going to rent, and even the rental market's having a hard time keeping up. So that just shows you, where that market is right now in Denver. It's just it's just bursting at the seams, literally.
Well, we see it too. A lot of times
Yeah.
people, I asked you earlier about someone that thinks they might want to just rent for a year and wait and see what the market does. But what we see is rents just keep going up, and a lot of times they can buy a house for what their rent payment would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mortgage payment never goes up.
Yeah.
So
That was a good factor for me. I was like, I'm done paying this much. If
Yeah.
I'm paying this much, I should be owning and not renting anymore. And that was one of the big factors for me as well.
yeah, well, and people can qualify
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of cases when they don't think they can.
Yeah.
There's help for down payment. If they don't have that, there's ways to creatively get into a house and get your foot in the door and realize some of this appreciation we're seeing.
Do you guys have a favorite loan or product that you guys like to use to help people get their first home?
Well, a lot of people choose CHFA,
Mhm.
which is the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, and they have different programs for down payment help. They have grants, they have what they call silent second mortgages that,
Okay.
Depending on the parameters of the buyer, determines what's the best program. But the silent second, it's no payment, and then they have to pay off the loan if they sell the house.
Okay.
So, and that gives them the money for the down payment help. So, those can be really good options for people that don't have the down payment. Either they just haven't been able to save it, or they're a little bit short, but they want to take advantage of the market right now.
Yeah, I would definitely because, we know that the market's tight to get in, but interest rates are going up, and that's going to really reduce the buying power of those people as well.
Yes, I heard a statistic that every 0.5% increase in mortgage rates causes 500,000 people nationwide to not be able to qualify.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, and we've seen a little bit of an uptick in rates over the past year, but it's still very, very reasonable.
Yeah, it's still historic lows, more or less, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are your other thoughts on the market as far as where the market's going, what people should expect down the road, any of those kinds of things?
Yeah, so like I said before, I really don't expect any changes. I mean, we're hitting our 5th year of this market, and I would really expect to see the same. We're going to see some more appreciations in values. The interest rates are going to go up as well, so that will, again, reduce buying power for buyers who want to buy. But what we are seeing too is a lot of builders are building on that periphery. So some of that buying pool is going to have to push out of the city limits or what currently is city limits. There'll be new cities being formed. Another one I'm sure you heard of, which is the Aeropolis or whatever over by DIA, where they're building that whole.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Oh
I feel like
God.
every week I hear a new.
Yeah.
there's a new neighborhood or a new town or.
Yeah, no, they're gonna build a whole new city basically by the airport. It's supposed to be
Wow.
a Denver tech / hub for both businesses and neighborhoods over there.